What's up, Diverse? Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, salute, Queen. How are you?
Good, good. How are you doing?
Can't complain. Yeah, I mean, if I did complain, who listen anyways? That's how they say it,
Yeah,
So,
for sure. I feel you. So I just wanted to get into you as an artist a little bit. So, what first got you into music?
well, if I stem it all the way back to age 9, age 9, I heard Usher's "Nice and Slow." My dad was cooking in the other room, making some food, and I was on the couch. I had never written before this. I had never did anything musically. I was just interested to listen to music. The end of the song, there's at least 20 to 30 seconds of a clip of like just the instrumental playing right after he finishes the song. And then for some reason, I was intrigued to want to write to it. I was like, let me ask for a pen and paper. I don't know why, but I asked my dad for a notepad and a pen. And that was it. That was pretty much it. That was really the start of it for me. Like I don't even remember none of the lyrics I wrote for that, nothing at all. Like my dad didn't allow me to curse back then. So like I was just writing whatever.
Yeah.
And that was just it. But that didn't really super spark it. That was just the beginning part. What really super sparked it for me was, especially in my creative process, I was living with my grandmother pretty much for all of my life. I lived with my grandma and my aunts and my little cousins and stuff. And I remember being in my room. I had like this little Harry Potter room that had like this, it's like this slant ceiling. So I didn't even have like a full room because the stairs were like above me. So it's like, you know what I mean? And I just remember playing Dead Presidents by Jay-Z, the very first one, because I know there's 2 and 3. And the end of that started playing. The beat started playing for that. And it happened again. And this time, instead of me asking for a pen and paper or going and writing stuff down, I just started freestyling. I literally just started saying word after word after word, and it just all of it started lining up. And I remember rapping until the song went off, and then I just remember falling back on the bed and just looking at the ceiling and just so confused, like so thrown off, because it wasn't even the fact that like it was my first time. It was the fact that it was my first time freestyling, and I was so amazed at how easy it was for me to do. Like,
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't really understand how I have this skill, because I'm not just like, I've heard other people freestyle. I'm not just like average at it. Like this is really easy for me to do. Like, like more than normal, and I just really felt like, like in those movies where the person gets their superpowers and they like actually like realize it before, anybody else. And they're like, they wonder if anybody else knows, and you just looking around. And it was the start of that for me. It started that. And then I went to church every Sunday after that. In church you can't talk during most services, so I'm sitting there with my notepad, and my god brother sitting next to me. He was already well into music. He was already battling, doing all those type of things. He's about 3 or 4 years older than me. And he was like, well, since we can't talk, how about we just write lines back and forth? Whoever has the best lines at the end, like, because you could tell as an MC who kind of winning and who not, So he was like, if you win at the end of at the end, and like it was like he'd give me a CD or something, or I don't know, I'd spend an extra night at his house or something, because we used to spend a night at his house every weekend or every other. And I would lose every week. It was like 2 months straight of just losing. Just like he's just that good. He's just that good. Like he's amazing. My god brother's Ron Stella, and like, and it's just like, I don't know how to get better. All I just knew was just to keep writing. All I knew, so time went on. I eventually got better. So one Sunday, I remember it was, I believe we had did a performance a week before. And I remember writing in my notepad specifically, we going back and forth, probably about 4 to 6 lines. And I remember I wrote the last block, and he just was stunned. He didn't have nothing else to say after that. And he was just like, yeah, you got it, bro. You got it. Like, you got it. I was just like, what? Like, I couldn't say it out loud because we in church, and I'm just like, like, you guys don't even know. You guys have no idea, like, how good it felt to just finally actually improve my skill to that point, of just gaining his respect and understanding that he took an L on that one, so that was big. And he got me into, Cassidy. Cassidy became my favorite rapper. I listened to a lot of D Block mixtapes. All of that, all of those beginning stages. That was way before even saying Jay-Z was my favorite rapper, because I wasn't listening to Jay-Z like that back then. But yeah, that's what sparked it all off.
So basically, you had music all around you growing up, and whatever your parents listened to, and whatever you were hearing in church, just kind of having a friendly competition with family really
Yeah,
just kind of boosted you getting interested in music and really taking it as far as you have so far.
definitely. If I wasn't around me, I don't know where I would have been. Truthfully, I don't know where I would have been doing. So yes.
So what genres would you say influenced you the most? Like, I mean, the first thing you wrote to was an R&B track, and
Mhm.
then the next thing you ended up freestyling to was rap. Like, do you have any influences from different genres other than R&B and rap? Like any pop music, rock music, church music, gospel music?
Okay. I guess. I mean, truthfully, I didn't let church music influence me too much. I did listen to it a lot. I even listened to Christian rappers back then. I would get different CDs. We would go to different conferences. So I would meet different Christian rappers. I had lots of respect for what they did for the craft. I believe it was this dude, this like super light skinned dude named, I think his name was T-Bone back then or something like that. And he was just nice. He had cornrows or whatever. He was nice. He was in one of those gospel movies too. I can't even remember, but it was a big movie as well. But I remember listening to him, and he was just like the crazy Bone, the Bone Thugs and Harmony of gospel rap, and I was super impressed. Like, and then it just like I don't know, it got to the point where I don't know, I got a chance to be able to go, and my older cousin, she would let me borrow her Walkman or whatever, her CD player, and her thing was don't take it to school. That was her thing. And I'm just like, that's when I use it most. It's like, what she's like, don't bring it, like, leave it in the locker if you want to take it or whatever, but don't, like, super restricted about it. And I'm just like, I hear you, but I'm gonna listen to music whenever I got the urge to listen to music, like safely without getting it taken and stuff like that. And, not using it in class and whatnot. But I just was like, I eventually convinced her to let me take it to school. And I was like, listen, I know these are some of your jeweled precious CDs, but I need one of these joints. The rest of them I'll burn or whatever, or I'll get them from a corner store. But I need this one CD, and the one CD was Nas Stillmatic.
Oh,
That was it. That was it. That was the catalyst for me. That was like, yo, this CD is perfect. This CD is perfect. It's perfect. Like, I didn't even know much about Illmatic. I didn't know a lot about Nas at that time. I was still learning about the game. I had a lot of eventually I got a lot of G-Unit mixtapes. So rap and hip hop was just still my driving force. I was listening to Lloyd Banks vs. Cassidy, part 1, 2, and 3 mixtapes. I mean, I'm listening to when the Ja Rule diss happened. I'm getting all of it. I got it all. I got it all. My corner store is like 10 feet from my grandmother's house. Like, I got it all, So it was just like hip hop and rap was easily the influence. I mean, I did listen to R&B because of my mom and, her playing different, songs and different artists, but it was just rap and hip hop because I was fiending to be able to get that. Then it was just a Lil Wayne era of getting all of the droughts, and I was on it. I was on it.
So as far as the way you rap now, your flow and whatever beats you decide to hop on, like how long do you feel it took you to really develop your flow? Like, have you modeled it after anyone, or have you really just like taken time to develop a flow that you feel is unique to you?
At first, I modeled it after Jay-Z. I began to listen to, I was late. I went backwards. So I listened to like Black Album. And then I went back to like stuff like Reasonable Doubt and all of that. I own all Jay-Z albums except for Life and Times Volume 1 and 2 because I'm not superly impressed by those. I know B. Dot on Rap Radar would call me crazy, but just naturally Jay-Z because he had a flow that was versatile over pretty much any beat. I was like, if I'm gonna be diverse in any way, I need to be to have a flow that works for pretty much anything, or I could adapt it in any way, So I followed a lot of Jay. I listened to a lot of Jay. I know Black Album by heart, and that's pretty much it. Like I did just Jay-Z and Cassidy. I mean, I would use Cassidy more so because when I would battle sometimes in high school, that's who I'm modeling my battling style after. That's who I'm going, like using so many different punchlines to give analogies for things. But the flow, Jay, nothing but Jay. and nothing else that would
It's
influence me.
super versatile. I mean, if you listen to his music, he could pretty much rap over any beat that he really wants to.
Any,
Yeah.
anything, you know, like, and I just was like, all right, I'm impressed. I'm gonna use that, and then I just used that to a point where I was able to find my own style. So I kind of meshed Cassidy and Jay-Z together, like, because I was heavy on punchlines for a while, and then my flow, I was like, all right, cool. Nobody can mess with the flow either. So now I'm good. But my flow, I will say, people call me great, you know, a great songwriter and lyrics like that. But I do say my flow is probably my best aspect.
Yeah, no. Are you more of like a sit down and write everything out, or do you still like freestyle? Is that more of your thing? As far as your creative process when you're making a song or you're putting a piece of work together, do you have to sit down and listen to the beat and write something out, or you could just put the beat on and freestyle in the booth?
See, I am more so write it down. But it's different because I say it's a hybrid formula, because in order for me to even be to write it down, I'm freestyling the lines out.
Mhm.
I'm freestyling all of the chorus out. I'm saying it loud. I'm singing it out loud. I'm
Yeah.
using my voice recorder. So I'm freestyling all of the song until I'm finding parts that work. And then I take those parts and write them down. So
Yeah.
I'm not like the type to just be like Lil Wayne. All right, I'm gonna record, press start, press stop, punch it in, punch it. Like, no, I'm not like that. I'm not. I could, but I tried it sometimes, and it slows me down. It slows my process down, and by the time I'm done, I don't enjoy the song as much.
Yeah.
So I'm like, in order for me to keep the magic in it, I gotta be able to just like, here's the beat. What's the first two lines? What's the first line?
Yeah.
Freestyle it out, freestyle. Okay, I got it. Boom. Now I can just keep going. You know? So I'm definitely not like the recorded in, like, I'm not Lil Wayne.
Not like
No way,
a
no way.
line by line, like punch me in, punch me in type of rapper.
Nah.
You're like,
Lil Baby and Lil Wayne, I can't do that. I'm
yeah.
sorry. I can't do it.
I mean, sometimes it just takes artists, like artists are able to do it different ways. Lil Wayne is able to just come up with line after line after line on the top of his head. And that's amazing. But it's also amazing to be able to like listen to something and fully think out what you want to put or what you want to say on the track. Like, I know the direction I want this track to go from the jump. Like,
From the jump. Yeah, easily.
as soon as you like listen to this first verse, you're gonna know like where I'm going with this track, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Very much.
Where with artists like Lil Wayne and Lil Baby, like you listen and like it's like they're bouncing from idea to idea to idea to idea.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. And I mean, certain songs, like, yeah, like, you know, like teach me how to love or whatever.
Like, he
Like,
definitely has songs where he has an idea for the whole entire song, but like those ones where you could tell he just like freestyled it. It goes from like line to punchline to punchline.
Right,
and it's dope.
right.
Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Like it's always dope, but it's like I appreciate a song that has a good like basis.
Right. Like, I listened to The Real Her by Drake and Wayne in 3000 yesterday, and I was like, this is one of the most cohesive verses by Wayne like ever. Like, it just writes itself. Like, you know, like, and I wonder on that. I'm like, did he write that? Like, because he says he doesn't write, so it's impossible to like.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like sometimes he does though. Like, I feel like
I do too.
maybe sometimes he does. Like once or twice, he's written a few things down, you know, or like had a general idea for how he wanted the song to go.
That's right.
So that's another thing I wanted to ask you. Like when you hear a beat or when you like get ready to make a song, like where do you pull your inspiration from as far as your lyrics, as far as what you're going to talk about? Like, is it the beat you listen to just like gives you a certain vibe and you go with that? Or like you come in knowing that like you have something on your mind that you want to write about?
Never goes like that for me. It never goes like that for me. You know, the thing is, very much a lot of the times I've made, like, a lot of people say, for instance, I'll give you an example. Like when, for instance, like my mom passed, people was coming up to me and was like, you're gonna make great music, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna make great music. At the time, I'm not thinking of that. I'm not feeling that. It's not in my process, right?
Yeah.
Other times, you know, you graduated, you know, I know you're gonna have something inspirational. No, it never is like that. I'm never going like, yo, I'm about to go write this song now because I need to write this subject out. It comes to me later. It always unfolds to me later. It takes the beat. It takes me hearing the beat, the right beat. And I'm picky as hell for beats. I am like Jay-Z when it comes to beats. Like, if the snare is incorrect, if there's too much reverb on the snare, if you use too many snares, if you don't use the right pattern, like, I am crazy about it. I am crazy about it because it's like, And I understand, like, Kendrick is the same way when he's orchestrating his albums. Like, I didn't know he had such a in-depth approach on his production. And it's just a way from scratch. Like they say, he doesn't come in with, like, it's a very few times that that Soundwave may come in and he already got beats that Kendrick won or whatever,
Yeah.
A lot of the times he might have a little idea. He like, listen, we're gonna scratch right, we're gonna go right from there, from scratch, And that's how I would like to be with a lot of producers, but I haven't really found producers I can just hit up and hang out with, and we sit
Yeah, I
there
was
and make from
gonna say,
scratch.
like, are you more of like, would you be more interested in just sitting with a producer and you guys put the whole track together, like from the bottom,
I
or
would
just
prefer,
being like sent beats by different producers? Because
yeah.
I feel like if you get the opportunity to link with a producer that allows you to work on the song with them from the bottom up, it makes
Mhm.
the song more personal to you because you really had input in the entire experience.
Right.
And I think it makes it more cohesive because both of you are listening to it along the way. It's not like you're sending the track to him afterwards where he's gonna
Mhm.
like nitpick and edit this, and this when
Yeah.
you're already
Yeah.
doing it. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. To be able to make those changes. I mean, I do have a producer. I have a producer named Beats by Imani. I've released a few songs, like Magic Number 9. He's produced Free Your Mind. He's produced. So he has a lot of those records, but he stopped putting he basically kind of stopped putting his beats up. And like now and I just found out he lives in California near me. So I've been waiting to kind of get that, set up, both of our schedules, and then also finding the studio now, that I found a studio out here that you can basically rent for $17 an hour, which is like crazy.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. It's called pirate.com. It's dope. It's dope. And I hit him up like, yo, man, let's work on something. Let's get on something. So now I know that, his price structure. I know how he works. Once I get that together, then now we can, for the first time in my life, actually go and sit down and craft from the beginning and not have to wait and look online and go to BeatStars, because it takes me forever to find beats. And I'm grateful for my next album because I found all of the beats cohesively. I found them throughout my whole 2 years, because almost 2 years journey in LA. Like I found and I just kept them. I kept them and prayed to God that they didn't get sold, because that's the main thing when you find beats online, is that you can find a fire beat, but the next day it can be sold and it can be gone.
yeah. And
So
then what do you do? Like, that's why I
you
think
got
it's
to make it from yeah.
yeah, that's why I think it's
You got
better
to remake them.
to create it from scratch because that could always happen. Like you never know. Like you could create something fire and you're just waiting to get your bread together to be able to like buy the beat
Get it, yeah.
and next thing you know, it's gone. So it's like, damn, all that
It's
hard work.
gone. And that right. It happened with my first album. It happened with Where the Flowers Grow. There's only 9 songs of Where the Flowers Grow, but I made a total of 70 songs. And there's at least 5 to 10 records that the sample wasn't clearable. The producer didn't clear the sample. It sold. It's just like, yo, I love these songs. These can never come out though. These can never. I might be able to put them on SoundCloud, but these will never do anything.
Yeah, that's crazy. And it's crazy how like artists will really make like you made 70 different songs for that first album or EP you put out, and only 9 of them are on there. Like you got to imagine how much these artists like have just put on the back burner because it didn't fit in with the vibe for the EP, or it didn't fit in with the vibe for the album or whatever, or like this sample didn't get clear, this sample didn't get clear.
You don't want that.
I mean, it's nice that you still get to release that on SoundCloud so people can still enjoy it, because like people still listen to music on SoundCloud, but
that's true.
It sucks that you can't really promote it as like
you can't promote it like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And that's the main thing. Like this album, I made sure like that was one thing I prided myself on. Like as soon as that stimulus came through, I said, nope, I'm not playing no games. I don't care if I don't got too much money left after this. My album is important. This next album, Where the Flowers Grow 2, is the most personable piece of music I've ever written in my life. It is every time I think about it, it touches me, like it just, I don't even know how I wrote a lot of it. Truthfully, I can't even tell you how I wrote a lot of it. It just poured down. Like I remember, it was an interview J. Cole did for Forrest. It was KOD. It was for KOD, I believe. It was a short interview, and an interviewer was like, "So how did it come out? How did it come about? Because you had just did For Your Eyes Only. You usually don't release that so close."
Yeah.
He said, "Man," he was like, "Truthfully, God just started me on one song." He said, because he told God that he wanted to do features and stuff before he leaves, before he retires. Yeah. And God sparked him. He sparked him on doing the features. And he said once he started doing those, he said it seemed like it just kept like coming. It would just, I'm just like,
Yeah.
he couldn't even, it never happened to him like that before, like it was just something that was unexplainable,
Mhm.
and it just came down pouring out. So I was like, you know what, I got all of the beats. I purchased all of the beats now, except for I have an MP3 for one song that I want the quality wave file, so I'm gonna get that. But everything is done. I wrote the outro last night. I was blessed to be able to have a feature. Yeah, I wrote the last record. And Jillian Hainsworth is going to be on there. She's leading the album out. It's the song is called Flood, and it's just, oh my God. I mean, the lyrics are just it's like I can't be mad at my dad because I know he was wrong. Like, it was just so many things like I just never spoke about. And it's just like, I'm so glad it came out the right way, because really originally the track, like for instance, I was just gonna have her just be on the track and then just let it fade out or whatever. But after that, I had like 2 minutes of instrumental. So I'm like, this song has to be a song. It can't just be
Yeah.
something else, So I'm grateful. This album is fully written. I have all the beats. I'm literally now I'm in the process of getting my my health together, getting a therapist, getting all of myself together fully before I embark on recording, and finishing and mixing and mastering.
I was gonna say, like, how does it feel now that you have the project done and it's your most personal project that you're going to release? Like, how do you feel after writing all that out and putting all of it to the music? Like, do you feel just like lighter maybe, or just like relieved a little bit to be able to finally like get out everything you've wanted to say? Music can be very therapeutic, in all honesty.
Yes, it can be. I was telling because I set up my appointment this morning, but I was talking to my therapist this morning briefly, and I was letting her know that it's to the point now where I want to be able to create, right? But I'm also, not to be confused, and everybody that's seeing this when they see it, I'm still in the struggling artist. I'm still in the up and coming phase, right?
Mhm.
Meaning I financially don't have it all together yet. It takes money to record the music, to get it out the proper way. And I'm like, I have a lot of music, but I don't have the money behind the marketing yet. That
Yeah.
is the main thing that I lack, and I haven't put my, that full in yet. But now I'm about to, do different things like Uber now this week. I'm about to get my California license tomorrow, God willing, because I've been studying all weekend. And it's just like, that's what I'm trying to embark on, is like being able to have money to be able to do my art. Because I told her, I said, I can write a lot. I write a lot of it down. Even when I'm going through it or whatever, I'll write it down. But it's not the writing it down that does the clearing. The clearing happens when it's recorded. Not
Yeah.
even when it's mixed or mastered. Because as long as you record it, it's out. Like, I have like 3 or 4 records on my computer that I've done that's not on my album, that I haven't even mixed and mastered yet. But I felt the release and the calmingness of it because it's out now. It's out, Like, I have a new record produced by Chill Ali, called The Realist. And yeah, and it's smooth.
Oh,
It's a joint. It's a joint, So, we tap in every so often because he works on so many different people's projects and his own as well. So I
yeah.
was like, man, I know it's stimulus time, man. I need me a little beat, man.
I feel you,
So
but honestly,
yes.
I just think that if this is what you want to do, like music is what you want to do, you have to be willing to count yourself as an investment. And any artist that I've talked to, at least a few artists that I've talked to, have always said like the most important thing, or the advice they'd give someone, is to always invest in yourself when it comes to this, because you're not always going to have people with money to back you on your dream. So you
That's right.
really gotta like focus up and spend whatever you need to spend to get your dream off the ground, in all honesty. So it's nice to
For
hear that
sure, for
you're
sure.
really like, you're really putting in the work, you're doing everything you need to do,
Everything.
so that you're in a good space mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, everything,
For sure.
to
For
be
sure.
able to like really promote this next piece of work that you're going to put out. Now, can we talk about this next piece of work you're going to put out a little
Yeah,
bit?
for sure. For sure. I'll give you lyrics, whatever you want to hear, whatever you want. Let's go.
So
Let's do it.
I wondered like if there's a general theme for the next album, or like is it just gonna be track by track, you're gonna go through like some personal moments or experiences, or did you like round it out?
Okay. So let me go to the actual album. Let me pull it up. So I erased it. The concept is about refining and refining. So when I say that, it's about refining and refining myself before I can refine myself, I have to refine myself. That all comes in two different processes, right? Before I moved from Buffalo and I moved to Los Angeles, my refinement began. It wasn't upon my choices; it was upon God raining down. Because they say before you gain a lot or before you gain things, you need to lose those things. Right?
Absolutely.
Unfortunately. So when I was telling my therapist, I said I lost my job, I lost my apartment, I lost my girlfriend of 8 years, I lost something else. I can't remember. But then mainly the last thing it was, I lost my mom. So that was the world shaker because, my mom was young. She was 51. She was 51 when she passed. Wow. 51, right? She had diabetes, she had, different things that she dealt with. But my mom was a soldier, and I'll never forget because one of our last Mother's Day we got to spend. And I remember going before I came over, I already had flowers, right? I already had everything I was going to take them for Mother's Day. For some reason, I stopped at Walgreens to get more flowers. And I didn't know why. I felt like what I had wasn't enough.
Yeah. And
I was just like, I don't understand this process. Like, I don't know why I'm doing this. But it felt amazing to be able to bring them over to be able to do that because that's not something I usually do. I bring what I have. And she loves me nonetheless. But I said, something is changing. Something is happening. Even though then a week later, she was in the hospital and, she came out. And then a week after that, she was gone. So it was so different for me because, I had, losing my car to a car accident, losing, my girlfriend I thought I'd marry of, 7 to 8 years, she's still amazing, but it's just like, damn, like what is, I couldn't figure out what each of these things were trying to teach me. Yeah. I could not figure it out for the life of me. I was like, it's gotta be something I'm doing wrong. What am I doing?
Exactly. Like, what did I do?
Yeah, like, and I just kept thinking that, but then I had to realize like, a lot of people would say to me, it's not necessarily you. I think a process is beginning in you. I think a change is beginning to stir in you. Like I had worked IT all my life. And I was on a contract role. This was something super easy. I was working from home. Life was beautiful. I'm up in the morning making breakfast or whatever, about to start my shift. And then I get a call. Hey, we just want to let you know your contract is in. Just like, what? Randomly? Like, like it's so many different things. You couldn't even, you're like, there's no way. So when I say my refinement began, that's what it was. It wasn't even that I sparked the process because Where the Flowers Grow 1 was already out. I was already, people was already had bought their merch. All of that was already done. Yeah. And I was like looking at moving to California, but I didn't know when it would happen. So I set myself a plan. I said, this was June, July. This was July. And I told myself in September, I'm going to leave my job and then I'm going to move. I got let go in August. So I looked up to God. I said, oh, so you want me to start early? That's all I could say. I said, oh, you want me to start a little bit earlier. So I understood that. And, I still fought. I still try to do GoFundMe's, try to keep my apartment, all of that. Like none of that will work. Nothing I was doing will work. But what did work was me writing down 4 different options, deciding if I would stay, using the money that I had and being able to move with it. Because not a lot of people can be able to make that move. So exactly. I was just grateful. I was just grateful to begin my process because I knew that I didn't know when I would write another album, but I knew that anytime I'm going through something major like that, it's for an overhaul for me to be able to pour it out into something that's, going to help people and help whoever,
Mm-hmm. So right now you would say you're still going through your process of refinement and it's leading to your next journey of refined.
Yes. Flowers Grow 2. Let me because the first one was personal, but I don't know. I think I was so afraid to talk about different things that a lot of it was more so for me trying to figure out how to talk about it. Mm-hmm. And instead of that, I was just like, okay, I had an A&R at the time, and more so for me, my A&R. I was in an artist development program, and he basically trimmed my album down from 15 songs to 9. I think it was from 15 or 16 to 9. And I was hurt. A lot of these records was like, there was the jams. They was some jams, And he was just like, you got to understand that you're trying to create a story. He said, I know exactly what you're trying to do. He said, I get it to Pimp a Butterfly feel. I get it. I understand it. He said, but you want it to be cohesive. You want it to flow. So
Yeah.
you got to remove these records. You got to. And I'll never forget that day. I was in a bathtub and I was just hurt. I was just hurt because I'm like, I would take baths. Yeah, because I would take my baths and I would sit and make new different playlists of the album. So I rearrange it, move it around. I'm like, even if I ain't got no A&R, I'm still gonna do it myself. But then I ended up getting into the program for Sony, and that was it. And I was like, all right, I gotta kind of listen to some of the advice because he's giving me a tool for a reason, you know. Shout out Dan Marsh. Dan Marsh, an amazing artist. So he just, you know what I mean, he looked out for me and showed me that. And that's when I began, okay, now I know what it means to be able to put something together and speak about all of the different subjects. I mean, I'm talking about how I don't want to go back home because I fear going back home would treat me like I would be like Nipsey, you know, like in a way, like the eyes would be on me. And as soon as I try to help the community, I'm gonna get shot down. That's one subject, you know. That's a record called Back Home. I got the last record, the one with Jillian. I'm talking about different things that my father, I understand, like my aunts and my grandmothers raised me and took care of me. They took custody of me from my parents because they weren't financially able and stable enough to take care of me, right? Mm-hmm. I ended up living with them, but before I lived with my grandma, continued to live with my grandmother, I had a decision to live with whoever I wanted to. Now, I had a favorite aunt. I went over her house every weekend. I had family members. I love all my family. But I was like, my life is here. My friends are up the street. My school's around the corner. I don't need to move, and that was the first time at 14, I got to make a major decision in my life, So I talk about that on the outro. I talk about that. I said, I actually say the lyrics because I'm proud of the lyrics now. I'm very proud of them.
Let's do it.
So the verse goes, never said that I was perfect, never said that I was worthless. My soul done made some purchases that I can't even surface. And I chose the dark so many times that I knew right from wrong. So right here, I'm writing songs just to hope I right my wrongs. I know that I can't fix it all, but I'm going to give it till I'm gone. I know that if I got my reasons, Jesus never lets me fall. Sometimes I wish I made the call, but moving forward, let's move on. And I can't blame it on my father, though I know that he was wrong. But so was I. Left him high and dry just to say goodbye. Used to be in love with dark, but now I'm marrying my light. It seems so scary in my eyes, but it's going to carry me to fly. I know they'll bury me alive if I don't share it from inside. But down this road too many times and it's impairing me to drive. But it's apparently I'll cry and use my tears to push my ride. I hope you understand that everything I'm doing is for this life. I hope you understand that everything I'm doing is for my life. And
that's the hope. Like, you hope that your family and the people that you had to leave behind where you're coming from recognize that you're making this move, not to disparage them or not to like say that you're unappreciative for anything that they've done for you during this road or this journey you've been on, but now you have to take the necessary steps to really do it for you and to really recognize like your role in this music industry and how far you really want to take this.
Yes. And recognizing your role is very important. You have to study and watch those that came before you in order to know how to go after. I mean, I had just watched the Biggie documentary on Netflix, and that changed my whole perspective on Biggie. Mm-hmm. My whole, I had just such a love, it was different when I seen him in the room in California, when he went to California. Right after they told him not to go, right after they suggested and begged him not to go. Mm-hmm. And he's just in the room enjoying life, rolling up, doing whatever, and he's just he at the radio station. He's like, listen, man, I don't have no beef with nobody. If people have problems with me, they can bring it to me or whatever. We could talk about it, but I don't carry that with me, And that's just to go to show, because if you're a real man, you got to go out there and then you didn't have any involvement with Tupac. You got to go out there and show your face and say, hey, listen, I'm out here. I wouldn't, if you really think I did it, you think I'll be coming out here and doing interviews right after, or I'll be that bold or be that comfortable to do that? Exactly. Nah, man, that was my boy, and he's gone, and I don't know who exactly did it, or he maybe might have known who did it but didn't mention it. But just his boldness at that time of you still got to do and go forward no matter what these people are doing.
No matter what, that's one thing that I've definitely learned, and that I feel like everyone learns as an artist. You have to keep pushing and keep going after what you really want in order for it to actually become something. I mean, you can't get lucky and have a hit that everybody grasps onto, but
sometimes
more of the time you have artists that have been working for a long time to get to where they are.
Very
And
much,
you
very
have
much.
to like catapult yourself in all honesty and recognize that every step you take and every decision that you make is going to impact how your future is going to be in the business that you want to be in.
Right, right, very much, very much, very much so. So that is, that's a glimpse into the album, excuse me. And that's just what I want to do, like I it's crazy because I think I had another line in there. And I'm like, and I'm at the point now where I've seen something that said if you don't have to burn a unnecessary bridge, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's like basically, like for even like for my ex, like I, love her to death. She taught me so many different things. I mean, changed my life I was a baby. I would say I was a baby. I was a little boy, and she helped evolve me into a man. And that was something I had to like, because men, we get in our feelings. I'm like, you know what? I'm ghost. I'm blocking you. I'm, all in
Yeah.
that. But then after eventually, I just was like, there's no need for me to even be like that. She's done too much for me to be. She is literally the narrator on my first album. That would have never happened without her. So
Yeah.
I was like, people that done well by you, sometimes there's no need to necessarily burn something like that. So I went back and I fixed it.
Yeah, like you definitely don't
So
need to have bad blood with people that you really didn't have a bad falling out with. Y'all just don't fuck with
yeah,
each other anymore. Like that's just it. But
yeah,
no,
yeah. It's
I'm
not.
not gonna disparage your name now that we're not as close as we
Yeah,
used to be. Like we can still, yeah, because at the end of the day, you never know when that situation will turn into a genuine friendship or a genuine
right.
connection that you may be able to use or like just something that may be beneficial to both of you in the future, like
That's
just
right.
maintaining ties. You never know.
Very much, very much. So that's something I was like, I said a line on there. I said, shout out to my ex because she helped me learn. It ain't easy to lose it all and get the return. Using sensible decisions, saving most what I earn. Staying low when I run, but staying high when I run, but staying low when I burn, or something like that. And it was just
Mhm.
like, that was something I told her to line to, and I was like, that was the summary of our aftermath. That is what I had to learn, that with and whether whoever you're with, you will lose things that person can't, no matter who, can't help you get back. It's
Exactly.
not, like it's not on them. It's not sometimes not even on you. It's on the decision of whoever makes the decisions for this, and that's that person upstairs, for me. So that's what it was. And I was like, darn it, like I'm and I wrapped the line of my best friend too out here, and he was just like, yo, say that again, like say that, like, and he never does that. He was just like, yo, like, you just rapping from such a pure point, and it's scary. It's crazy.
Yeah, I can tell, like, just from this conversation that this next album is gonna be a lot it's gonna have a different feel from, like, the music that I've listened to by you before. Like,
Yeah.
I'm getting a sense that I'm gonna need to, like, really, really tap in and listen closely because I may miss something.
Yes, yes, yes. It's very much so, very much so. I mean, I even talk about some of the. I have a record called Plant Roots, which is I'm planting my roots at the top of the sky, hoping I fall, but I don't know why or something, right? And the end of the song, I have found all of the, I'll say at least most of them, the African American people who were killed by police. So I found the list and I began saying them. I just say them one after another, one after another, one after another. This is it goes on for about a minute long. Until the track ends, and even after the track ends, and it's just to the point where it was so many names that I had to do two tracks. So I have one track in one ear saying some of the names, and then another track saying the rest of the names.
Wow.
And it was just, yeah. And by the time I got to it, I was just in tears.
Yeah.
It was just way deeper because I didn't, but I wasn't thinking of it like that. I'm thinking like, let me just show some love. Let me show the representation of what this song really means.
Mm.
But then after I said, I'm like, damn, I had to speed up to say all of the names. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Really think
powerful.
about it. Like, it's crazy how many of us have passed away at the hands of police brutality. It just doesn't make sense. The
Mhm.
numbers are astonishing. You can never truly get
Crazy.
through the list of all the names because I'm sure there's some that we're not even privy to.
It's just the ones that make the news or
Yeah.
whatever. Like,
Yeah, and it's crazy that the ones that make the news, the list is long enough that you had to double back and go and make a second track to actually say all the names. It's insane.
that's right.
It's
Yeah.
all just
Yes.
so crazy. So I feel like this is a time where a lot of people have like been tuning into social justice efforts of Black Lives Matter and a lot of
Yes,
different activist groups. And
very
I feel
much.
like that's definitely going to have an effect on the music that a lot of artists are creating. I
Mhm.
mean, that had an effect on Beyonce. She released a whole album about how being Black is beautiful,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
love it.
yeah.
But, I mean,
That's right. That's
but
right.
I mean, I feel like there's definitely going to be more instances where we have people like really talking about that and making music about it, which
Mhm.
puts a timestamp on it. Because we have other, like Black anthems that people have made, like James Brown,
Yeah,
I'm Black and I'm Proud. Like
fight the power, all of that. Yeah,
exactly, we have all these anthems that come at a time when we're facing so much turmoil as a people within what is basically our homeland, because a lot of us are Americans. We don't know what it's like to be African at all.
mm,
So, so
very
it,
much.
it's going to be like, it's crazy to think about how we're a part of the history that kids are going to be reading about like later on in their school. Like they're going to be reading about like music that's been put out and all these different social justice activist movements that we've had in the past like 5 to 10 years.
That's
And it's
exactly right.
crazy they're really on like another social uprising. But it's nice to hear that you've allowed this time and space to influence some of the music that you put out.
Yes, yes, yes. I had to because I'm like, I'm doing a disservice to myself and everyone else if I'm not allowing me to be able to even find a way to talk about it. Because it just you just really just gotta put it on your heart and it'll just come out whenever, whatever song you just, just say what you want to do and it'll eventually come out. Because I just didn't want it to be corny. I didn't want people to think I'm using it as a platform because I know some people use like, for instance, like sometimes I don't like seeing this. It's like I respect artists that do tribute paintings and drawings for different artists, but then they do it only to make the money and not to contribute the money to somewhere else, and it's only just to make them rich or whatever. And I'm just like,
I mean, in some instances, I understand because
yeah,
some art is for commodity. Like some art is just to make money off of. It can have a meaning to you, but you know that you're going to sell it because you want to make money off of your craft.
that's
I
right, that's
completely
right.
understand that.
Hmm.
There are other instances where if you are comfortable in the amount of money that you've made and you feel as though this is a piece of art that you can let go or you can donate all the proceeds to charity, then do so. But
That's
it's
right.
also like we need to not get caught up in the idea of what social media has made us believe as far as
Mm.
how we should be living or as far as how we should be handling our money.
Yes,
If you're not
yes,
in a
yes, yes.
yeah, like if you're not in a place to do those things, don't do them and don't try to show off because your pockets are going to be empty. Just live
Yes.
like live according to like what your pocketbook says, live according to what your checkbook says.
That's right.
And you can
Sure,
still
sure.
like I'm nowhere near me and a lot of my friends are nowhere near like where we would like to be financially. A lot of us have a lot of goals and shit
Yeah,
that we're trying to get to.
yeah.
But we live comfortably. Like it's not like we're all like super, super struggling to get everything done in life. We're not rich. Definitely not. A lot of us got student loans,
Yeah, yeah. Not really. Yeah,
but like
yeah, for sure.
once you live in your truth, the main point is to live in your truth and live in your reality. It makes life so much easier. And I feel like it makes the creative process also a lot easier because you're not thinking about what had happened or like what's going to happen. You're just thinking about kind of what's happening now and releasing everything that has happened so that you
Yes.
can focus in the now.
Yes, yes, very much. Because if I didn't, then I probably wouldn't be like I said yesterday. I said if I didn't say some of these things out loud, I'd be going crazy by now. I'd be crazy. I'd be upset. I don't know where I'd be. I'd be in I don't know. I'd probably be in a crazy house. But it's just like I know that now it's like for instance like my birthday when I released the EP called Part of the Game, and that was just like those issues that I'm facing before I turn 30. Like what am I dealing with now? What am I going through now? But without giving, and I'm also learning how to do those type of things without giving too much away where people are like, well, I heard this already. Why would I want to listen
Yeah,
to it out? Like
yeah.
how to keep certain, like break off certain subjects and save them for certain things at certain
Yeah.
times. Like
Like
that's all what it's about.
I'm guessing that's like kind of what the guy from A&R was telling you, where you want to like make the concept cohesive. So you can have these songs and have them and want to put them on this body of work, but it doesn't go with whatever the flow is of this body of work already. So I'll save that for another
Mhm.
project and then I'll make another project that's based off of something that's of that
That's
flow
right.
or that vibe.
That's
So
right.
I'm
That's
guessing
right.
that might be kind of like what the A&R guy was trying to tell you when he cut your track list. Which
Yeah, yeah, I wasn't hearing it at that time though. I wasn't trying to hear that. But you know, that's just what it was. I'm like, I'm always the person that takes lessons. Like the lesson doesn't hit me a lot of the times while I'm in it. It takes for me to be able to have some time afterwards, to be like, okay, now I get it. Now I can work off it. Now I understand, you know, because I'm in it, I'm frustrated. I'm trying to figure it out. My mind's everywhere. So I'm learning, learning how to stay in the present more and stuff like that. But you know, that's just where I'm at.
That's just something that takes time, because a lot of us are used to dwelling on what our future is going to be like or past mistakes that we've made. And it's hard to just like spend a day being in that day. Like whatever is happening that day is all you're focused on. That's tough for people. I get that. And more when you create, you're taking from experiences you've already had or things that you would like to happen, not what's like happening right now. Like I'm not gonna write a song about like staring out the window. Like, I mean, I could, but
I could.
why do that? Like when I can,
it's just not.
Like that's not something that people want to hear about, even though the rest of us are doing. But still, like it's tough because your mind is almost always like thinking about where you want to be and where you're trying to take yourself to be, and what you've done in the past and how that kind of has either hindered you or boosted you. You know. So there is one last question I wanted to ask you. Just one last question I want to ask you. So you've been making music for a long, long time, like a long, long time. When I first started getting involved with Buffalo rap, your name was one of the first ones that I heard as far as like this rap shit. Like Glenn used to mention you all the time.
Cool.
I used to hear about you when I was in shows, and I was like, oh, okay, like I got to check out his music. And I did. And my sister actually knew about you first. And I was like, that's crazy, because my sister does not pay attention to rap at all. And she was like, no, you got to check out my friend Diverse. And I was like, what? And so coming from my sister, I was like, I definitely have to check him out. And you've been doing this for a very, very long time. And I wanted to ask if there's any advice you have for people that are trying to get into the music business, or like just putting their foot in the door, making music. Like, is there any advice that you have?
Yes, definitely. The very first thing is I say to musicians if you can do this before putting out music, I mean, if you have music out already now, that's fine. Well, I'm actually, I don't like saying this, but I'm like, it's true. You need to make sure you LLC and trademark your name. You can do your logo, you have to do logos and names separately, but ensure you LLC and trademark your name. I believe the process varies price-wise from state to state. Both processes in California about $600, and then you got a franchise tax on your 8th month that you file, which is like $700-800. So you got to prepare for those things. The reason why I say that is so that one, you can get tax breaks out the wahoo. You can basically all your Lyft rides, Uber rides, all your food, you can write it all off. But mainly so to protect yourself. That's the most important thing. I'm ridiculous. I say it to my friends all the time because they ask me about it, for their processes. And I'm like, man, I'm insane for having music out and I haven't trademarked or copyrighted my name yet, right? I'm insane for that. But I always prepared to say, hey, if my name gets taken, I'm always ready to name myself, I'm just Dre. I'm cool with that. But that is something I'm going to be embarking on from the month of April. And I'm going to ensure that I take care of that because I'm no longer playing with myself as far as professionalism goes. So that is those two things. Then the third thing I say, make sure you have a BMI or ASCAP for your publishing. Not only because when you go on ASCAP or BMI, you can create one side of your account, but that does not give you your publishing. That means you only get 50% of your royalties when you get it if you don't get your publishing side of the account. For ASCAP, I believe it's $100 altogether. For BMI, it's $150. So make sure you have those things because when you're putting out music with other people, they're going to ask you, hey, what's your BMI number? What's your ASCAP number? So that they can get you your royalties when they put it up on whatever site, ensure you have that. And then the fourth thing, you don't even have to really upload your music to it because they'll take care of it for you, is getting a Song Trust account. Song Trust ASCAP and BMI only collect certain portion of your royalties. I believe they do mechanical and performance. But Song Trust gathers all of the other royalties in the world for you. I mean, your YouTube, your everything, wherever else it might be. it just all royalty. It's a whole list. I just can't even think of all the names. But make sure you have those 4 things taken care of, because once you do, you can do whatever. You can put out whatever. You don't got to worry about anything. Like, like I can go to my DistroKid account right now and, see my payouts and what I'm getting or what I'm gonna have, like that's what's important. Be able to know if you got money coming, and if you don't got no money coming, how to start getting it going, so that when you do you're investing heavily into your marketing, but you're not getting your checks and you're never getting anything sent to you or no deposits or anything like that. And you're just like, well, where is it? So it's just simple. I mean, ASCAP just sent me a deposit of like 7 cents the other day, but it was like, at least I know that they're doing,
that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that's what it's about, because it's like, if you don't, then you put yourself at a risk, and it's hard for you to create with other people, because you're always thinking after you put the song out, well, how come it got 30,000 plays and I ain't got nothing? Or I know artists that thinking that way because streaming doesn't pay much. So definitely ensure that you're doing that. And then I'd say, if you want to add a 5th thing on, I'd say just try to make sure you get the most, how do I say it? The most important license for the beat that you can get. If you can exclusively buy all of your beats, do that. And exclusive rights means that you own 100% of the track, publishing, composition, everything. Sometimes it's hard to do. I would say for myself, I don't have a lot of tracks where I own 100% of everything. Like, one, if they got a sample in it, that cuts my percentage down even more, but that's a hit you gotta be willing to take. But it's just the general fact of, like, I make sure I at least have a premium license, or I have an unlimited license for my beats, because when you don't want to hit 100,000 streams and then producers like, we got to come back and buy another contract, because that's usually how it goes. You know what I mean? So you want to make sure you got as high of a license that you can afford for whatever track, because it just covers you in the long run. You don't want to have to go back, I hit 250,000, let me go back and try to get another one, and then the beat sold or something like that. So that's why it's like important to make sure that you have those things. Licensing, song trust, trademark, LLC, BMI, ASCAP. You know what I mean?
Thanks. That's dope advice. I definitely didn't know any of that. I'm not a musician, but I still think that there were some gems in there that I could take myself. So thank you.
For sure.
So much for doing this interview with me so much. Thank you, Diverse. I really appreciate it. It was dope speaking with you. I'm looking forward to the next album. I know that
I'm where the flowers grow too.
No, I'm gonna have to tap in. Thanks so much. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Be safe.